Hey, what's up guys? So this week I started making some progress on the marketing efforts, and I also made some really good progress on some of the designs for the main user experiences of the app. Okay, so the marketing part is challenging for me. It's just not where my skill set lies, so it's always harder for me, and I'm just doing my best with it. I'm trying to force myself to spend a decent chunk of my time working the marketing each week as I keep going. So I've been scheduling that kind of work for the very beginning of the morning. That's when I'm kind of the most productive, most ready to take on kind of big challenges. So to get the ball rolling, I've got a Notion page set up where I'm just collecting things that I learn. So I'm spending some of my time researching and learning, and some of my time out on Twitter mostly. One of the things I'm doing is using TweetDeck to try to curate and find interesting content to get engaged with. So with TweetDeck, I've added a column here for employee onboarding. I've made an engagement requirement of at least 5 likes, and I'm only going back like a week or two. I'm trying to find ways that people are either using it or they're hating it, and then trying to engage with them. On the startup building side of things, I'm checking out MRR and startup with thread being mentioned, so I can try to find people talking about building startups where I can maybe chime in or learn from somebody else who's doing something kind of similar to what I'm doing. And then for right now, what I'm doing in Notion is I'm just tracking everything I did, all the tweets that I make, and just giving me a chance to see my work and also kind of be able to come back to it and see what worked well and what didn't work well. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this yet, but it's kind of almost just a journaling exercise for me. And I'm also trying to write some more threads in Twitter and trying to be more active in that. So I'm using this as a brainstorming place for doing that. And also jotting down times when I see somebody mention something that's like social proof of the problem I'm trying to solve. And I'm also researching things that are going to be coming up eventually. So, Product Hunt is going to be one of the places that we submit this to, but it's going to be kind of down the road. But if I come across some research, I want to make sure I've jotted that down. So this is my basically marketing brainstorming area. And one of the things that happened when I was doing this, I have to mention, is that somebody from the Bubble team commented back on me that I missed them in the no code lineup that I mentioned in one of my earlier videos, and I totally did. I did check out Bubble. It's a really great tool, actually. In fact, it was the closest one that I thought to be able to make something happen without coding. It still wasn't there for me, but I did want to drop that mention. The main goal for me is getting customer interviews. I'm happy to say I got my first organic customer interview coming up very soon. So that will be basically, it's not a time to sell the product. It's not a time to sell the idea. I'm really just trying to research and understand the customer. So I'm going to try to keep in my head, this is all about understanding that person, understanding their problem and their team's problem, and seeing what I can do with it. And maybe if I'm lucky, get a line in with somebody else who might be another customer interview, so I can keep those interviews coming. Another thing I did this week was analyze the analytics I set up last week just to see how things are going. We're not getting many visits right now because we're brand new. It does feel like a good idea to analyze the analytics as we go so we can make sure they're working right, first of all, but then also making sure we're getting the right kinds of insights. Analytics has this way of exploring your data. This is a free-form view of the data, and basically I'm looking at the different events. Then I can dig in and build funnels around that. So I built this funnel where you can basically create these steps and conditions about what do you expect somebody to do in order, and see how many people have gotten through it. So I've created this like step 1, turning the camera on, recording a video, going to step 2, going through that whole process, and hopefully eventually clicking that sign up button. What I've noticed so far is it's not quite working, because I've definitely gone through this process. It is showing me like the drop off between the steps, and that's really useful. So one of the tools they have in here too is user exploration, where you can look at the various users. They're anonymous, but they let you see the different events and actions that have been taken. So this might be something I use to try to figure that out. Because I found that first bug with the analytics where something wasn't quite recording properly, I've created this new page in Notion, which is a board view where I'm going to be tracking my bugs, my work that needs to be done. So just to kind of show you what I've done with that, took a screenshot of the issue that I saw. It's nice to do this in Notion along with all my other work, since, one person deal here, and also it's just lightweight enough that this will work for a while. So I'm happy to not have to have another tool. Okay, then moving on to the design work. One of the things that I really want to get going early is figuring out how someone is going to add a teammate to the system. So that's one of the main user experiences that I really need to nail. When you add people to your team, you got to set up their playlists, so the people who are going to be introduced to them. All right, so let me show this in action. This is the prototype. So somebody's basically in here adding teammates. They add another teammate. So we got Debbie Dawson here, and then let's just say this is like Greg Smith. And then we're going to hit next on this guy. So this is basically the playlist builder here. I really want to call attention to the action the user needs to take next, because it may not be intuitive that you need to search the organization here. So I can come in here and start building the list. So I've chosen, I'm going to choose the product team, add them to that list. You can drag and rearrange these. You can see what's coming up next. And I'm always wanting to have some help videos that are contextual to what the person's doing that I'm going to have at some point. Then we're going to add somebody from the sales team. And then once we're done with that, we're going to move to the next person in the teammate list. And I didn't build this one out, so I'm just going to let them skip this. I think it is important to let people skip, even though we don't want them to skip. But you may be adding somebody to the team, to the company, who you don't really need introductions for, but you're going to want them on the team to do introductions later for the next person. So we need that ability. But we do want to warn them, I think, so I'm going to have that in here. Then the rest of the screen pretends like we didn't skip them. So this is the confirmation page. This is step 3. So we're going to show them who is going to get an email request, because we're going to email out all the people that they just added to the playlist, and they need to be able to see that. And then maybe give them a little bit of context about who these people are that might help them make the introduction videos a little bit better. And I always want to be communicating to the user like expectations. So you're not going to be notifying the new teammates when you click this button. So that way they're not worried about these onboarding links going out yet. This is finish and send requests, to the people we've just mentioned that are going to be emailed. And so when I thought about what's going to happen when you click finish here, I really needed to start figuring out how the app is going to look itself. So I went back to the Tailwind UI site and I started looking at things like the detail screens they have, kind of different layouts that they've created from some of these pages, which are really nice, and just kind of getting my head around what do I want to do. And then I also looked at, we've got navigation, so we've got like sidebars. Definitely going to need some kind of a sidebar. So I looked through these and started figuring out exactly how I wanted it to look. And what I ended up coming back with was something like this. So we've got the logo on the left. We've got kind of identifying the person who's here, always having a way to add a new teammate. That's the main function of the product. We want that to be really up front and center. Want to be able to check on the people who are in that onboarding process and have a alert there, a badge that keeps them keyed in that there are actions that are waiting to happen here. So when I did all that, I came back and hit finish send request. I wanted to create kind of an animation here that says, we're about to be doing something. Something's going to change. Because when I first clicked it and we just flipped to the site, it was just kind of stark. So and again, I used Lottie files for that animation. I didn't make that myself. So now that teammates have been added, we're waiting on those videos to be recorded. So there's this pending state. And I think the admins of the system of the team need to know who's in that state. So this is a phased in stage of somebody coming onto the company. My thought here is let's show the people we just added with this nice summary of basically where they are in the process. So they got 5 days left to their start date. So far we got a 15-minute playlist. This will be a scrollable list of all the people that you added to the playlist. And we have this like status of who's done a hello video and an intro video. So there's 2 videos. There's the one that just says, hi Wendy. And then there's the one that says, this is about me, here's who I am, blah, blah, blah. We want to know who's done it and how this playlist is going to look for Debbie before we send them the onboarding link. So that's kind of what this progress bar is meant to signify, is basically that process. And they can preview this themselves. They can keep tweaking the playlist if they need to add more people or just whatever they need to do. And then when they're finally ready with that, they can create onboard link here and basically generate Debbie's link. And by default, we'll say we want to send her a welcome email. I'm leaving that as an option because people may want to send this over Slack, or they may want to incorporate it into their existing onboarding pattern. So I wanted that to be an option. So then we have the other stages. So when we feel like we've got enough videos and we've sent somebody the onboarding link, they move into this waiting status where they basically, all the teammates have their link, they're ready to be onboarded, but they haven't started yet. So we have their onboarding link here, so you can copy paste that to somewhere else. You can keep editing the playlist because why not? And then finally, when somebody does click their onboarding and starts going through it, they come into this stage, the onboarding stage, where we can actually see where they are in the process. It feels really nice to say, okay, Debbie started Monday. It's nice that she's kind of working her way through this and still being able to remind her of that link if we need to. And there's still no reason not to be able to edit the playlist while they're still watching it. I don't think there's going to be an issue with that. And then finally, once they've finished, this will probably be like the last 2 weeks of finished onboardings. And we can see the playlist that they watched. And if they recorded a introduction video themselves, we can watch their intro video here. If they don't, we can just show the status of where they're at. And then I'm thinking, for bigger teams, you may have a lot of people onboarding at the same time. So this would be a filter option. So if I'm in the product team and I just want to see my people, I can click on that and all these numbers and all this data will be filtered to this. And if there aren't multiple teams of people onboarding, we'll just pop this whole section off and we'll just pull this up. So we've created a new teammate, and now we've sent those requests out to the various people at the company. What are those people going to experience? What's that? That's a really critical experience, because these are the people who are going to basically make or break this for your team. If they're excited about it, if this is fun, I think we're going to have a nice growth in word of mouth. But if it feels daunting or just, not very playful or friendly, this could be the thing that really drags progress on adoption. So we send this request over, and let's say I'm Ruth Watterson and I get this email in my inbox that basically says, you've got 2 hello videos to record. This wouldn't be the very first email they get. We're going to have a general, your team is using new teammate kind of email to prep them. But we're basically saying, okay, we got 2 people joining your team, please take a moment to record a short video, and then trying to say, this can be super short. Like this could possibly take you 60 seconds or less, right? They're going to click record a video. They're going to come into the site, and then this is where I feel like we need to walk them through each stage of this. So basically saying, let's get a quick hello recorded for Debbie and Greg. Let's do it. You come in here and we've got a sample script. This will always match the name, but this is a prototype. Have a sample video for them to watch, a little information about Debbie, and then a hint here at the right, basically saying, this is supposed to be short, like don't stress about this. And then a notes field that's going to auto expand as they type in case they want to jot down some things before they start. I found that really helps me, is to have a script that's easily within eye line, so I'm not constantly looking down or something like that. So they're going to turn the camera on, they'll start recording, and we're going to get Debbie's hello in here. And then we hit stop. Then I have to kind of fake the prototype here and say, all right, let's save this. I think I'm happy with it. And then we give them like a congratulations. Okay, let's go on to the next person. And then they can just repeat this process for all the new people who are being added. So I just recorded my hello to Greg. I'm going to review it and say, oh, I like that, or I need to retake it. I'll hit save, and this is where we give them a chance to say, okay, so you've done your hello videos. Now, do you have a personal introduction video? And we're going to let them come in here and explain to them, how this works, the script, and having a sample video. Now, the suggested length on this is more like 1 to 5 minutes, because this is meant to be a little more in depth. And then giving them kind of an idea of by the way, you can always create a team-specific introduction. So this introduction is more about anybody in the company meeting you, not necessarily your closest peers. So you may have a different message for that. So once they've recorded that and they like that, they're going to hit save, and we say, thanks again, you did a great job. Trying to always be positive and encouraging on this. And then we give them a chance to record a team-specific version of what they just did. So this could get more detailed, more personal, more intimate, and it's up to them if they want to do it. So if they do, they have a chance to record their team-specific introduction. And once they've done that, they'll close this window, or they'll hit save. It'll finish uploading, because this could actually take some time. Some of these videos could be long, so we need some kind of screen showing them that progress. And then they get taken back to the app. And this is something that I just started working on, so I'm not super sure where this is headed, but they basically come back into the app. These are the 2 flows that I think I really want to take back to those people I talked to a couple weeks ago. And when it was just an idea, at that point in time, they had some certain types of feedback, but now I have an actual flow I can demonstrate and say, okay, this is more of what I'm thinking in real clicks. Is this intriguing to you? So I feel like I have a lot of good stuff to take back to these teams that I talked to before. I've got the landing page, which has an actual demo, almost an MVP of the idea, where they can see the tech actually working. And then these 2 user experiences, I think, are just the ones that really tell the story. And so there's lots more experiences to add, but these 2 are kind of the most critical. Okay, that's all we got this week. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, send me some comments about how you're feeling about these designs, how you think the idea and approach is working, if you have any suggestions on the marketing front. And then next week, hopefully we'll be starting to get some feedback from people on these designs and see how things are shaking out. And I'll talk about some of my first customer interviews that I've been having. All right, thanks so much. I'll see you next week.